Good morning, Dumela, Dumlani, Moribanje, Salibonani. Welcome to Dumela America podcast. Today we are broadcasting from Francistown, also known as the city of all things precious. Today we are excited to be sitting down with Mandy. Mandy Otukile is a Mandela Washington alumni, and she is the founder and managing editor of Noble Ways, GOP Bottles, a PET plastic bottle manufacturing company based here in Francistown. You are a U.S. government alumni.
Yes.
Can you tell us about your experience in the U.S. while on this program?
Okay. First of all, greetings everyone, Dumelang, Dumilani. So, my experience as a MWF fellow, alumni now, it was a life-changing experience. Honestly, for me, it wasn't just about learning business skills, just the fact that I was exposed to a whole ecosystem of leadership, innovation, community impact. It's something that I feel like I needed to see that. You know, some of these things, when we think about them, when you're enclosed in our beautiful small country, Botswana, when you go to a different space, when you see that the things that you're thinking about, it's actually a reality, it completely blows your mind. Like, you can actually get inspired and be like, oh, I can do that. Like, also, I think one of my highlights as well was just working closely with big corporations like UPS. We went to Microsoft, Coca-Cola, which is where I actually want to see my business because we're into plastic bottle manufacturing. So actually being in the heart of Atlanta, where the headquarters of Coca-Cola is, for me, it was a game changer. So I absolutely loved the experience. If it would come again, I would definitely go back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's quite a great experience you had there in the US. I just want to know, what kind of skills did you learn, and how have you been able to sort of move them back into your business to make it more successful?
Yeah. Some of the skills that I learned, we actually had a module called Human Design Thinking, where it was very interesting. This is one of the highlights of, some of the things that we were taught. We would have lessons where we literally do strategic thinking. You know, as an entrepreneur, you would think that because I've been doing this for so long, or I know everything about business. But this class actually taught me that it's not just about you being in business. For you to actually succeed in business, you need to listen to the people that you want to serve. And that's what I learned from the strategic, thinking class or module in Atlanta. And also how I'm applying that into my business now is, my company right now, I cannot do anything without the people that I'm serving. GOP Bottles alone is not just, serving, it's not just about selling bottles. That's why we're going into sustainability. It's because we are solving a problem which is bigger than bottles. We're trying to see Botswana in an, circular ecosystem where, everything is recyclable, and that is where I am at. Some of these skills I learned back there. I used to think, oh, I know everything, but when I got there, I was like, okay, this is interesting. So I'm now applying those here. Now I'm listening to my clients, all the stakeholders, how people want to be served. It's in the little things. That's what I've learned.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Tell me, are you a scientist, and why PET bottle manufacturing? What is the story behind this?
I'm actually not a scientist. I'm not a scientist, everyone. I'm not an engineer. So for me to go into PET bottling, I literally was filling a gap. Just to go back a bit, I was working for a water company when I graduated. I was an accountant. So Botswana, just like every other African country, we import a lot of our plastic products. And for me, I saw that as we are losing jobs and money that we could be using here to circulate into our country. So I saw a gap that I was like, you know what, let me try to fill this gap. And I'm telling you, when I say this, I didn't have everything figured out. Everything just works out one step at a time. So that's why I went into PET, but specifically went into PET because plastics are different. We have plastics that, are damaging the environment. PET are one of the few plastics that are actually quite good. We can recycle, but unfortunately we don't have these equipment and these machinery in our country that can recycle these things. So it's a bit difficult, but we are working on going into that. But yeah, because right now our bottles are recyclable. So what we usually tell our clients is when they're done with the bottles, either bring them back to us or we take them to South Africa. We work like companies like Waste Solutions, Recycled Botswana and Gaborone, that we can take back our bottles and then they turn into pallets, South Africa.
Yeah, you're saying PET bottles. And what comes to the mind of our listener here is like, what is PET?
Okay.
And also, what are these bottles used for?
Okay.
Is this this kind of bottle, or I mean, what do they bottle these bottles? Can you please tell us?
So PET, let me speak like I'm talking to a 5-year-old. PET, when you see the word PET, just know it's recyclable. And PET is not just, by the way, my mind was blown when I went to the US, because when I started my business, I thought PET, yes, this is actually PET. By the way, guys, when you walk into a shop, the first thing that you should see, even I'm looking at this bottle right now, if you see this sign PET, just know that the bottle that you're buying is recyclable.
Oh, I see.
So that's how you can support the eco-green, economy of Botswana. Make sure that you buy bottles that are recyclable. So it's not just into the water or the beverage industry, cosmetic industry, these people, hotels, like when you go into hotels, the little bottles that have the sanitizers, the lotions, those are PET bottles. And in the US, actually, some of the bottle, actually, I haven't seen glass in the US. Everything is PET, from whether it's alcohol, those who drink alcohol, whether it's the mayonnaise, the tomato sauce, everything is PET. So it's something that I looked at, I'm like, this would be great this side. But of course, PET, it needs a complementary product, which now is the machinery, which means this is not something that you can implement alone. That's where we need to hold hands with the government of Botswana, because our landfills are booming with waste that could be recycled. And that's where people like us come in. So PET, recycle, PET, yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Now, tell me, I want to know, what are you doing to create jobs for Botswana?
Yeah.
I'm asking this question because, I don't know if we have a lot of people who are skilled in PET.
Yeah.
But of course, you are in the industry. Maybe tell us more about this.
Okay. When I started...
And also let us know who trains your people.
Okay. When I started, like I said, guys, I'm not an engineer. I'm not a scientist. So when I started the company, obviously I ordered a lot, actually all of my raw materials in China. So the good thing about buying stuff from China is they actually do bring, you can ask for one of the services where they bring one of the, what are they called? Yeah, one of the people to come here and train your people. But the good thing about me is at the time when I started, which was 6 years ago, I was working with Leah. And Leah at the time, they had a similar machinery. So I came to Francistown. The machinery was in Francistown at the time. It's not there right now. So I came for training for about 3 weeks. And then when I went back home, I personally trained my employees. Now, this is just the technical part of it, not the short courses. Now, one strategy that I do, people might argue this, I don't hire skilled labor because I don't know, I have a theory that skilled people can get a job anywhere, but like if you don't have experience, what I do is I look for the young people that failed Form 5, failed high school, you couldn't go to university. Those are the people that I take. I will personally train because there are short courses that are about 250 pula. We register them for those short courses. You teach them business etiquette, customer etiquette. This is how you deal with a client. That's the little training that we do beyond just the technical aspect of it. And then I hire these people. They've gotten to a point where these guys know my business more than I do. I mean, just the technical part of it. Just yesterday, I was at work. I was working last night, and some of my employees are back in Moleapolole, and there was something that I was struggling with, and I knew that I have trained people for this, but I've forgotten how it works. So I had to call them. Oh, guys, please, I need help. You know, it's crazy, but it's amazing as well. I remember one of our. When I hired them as well, they didn't have driver's licenses. I was like, I cannot be driving trucks when I have you guys, men, because most of the people that I hire is actually because of the workload as well. So I was like, you know what, the company will pay for your driver's license. I just need you to be available. And that's what we do. I want a situation where when someone leaves the company, you look back and say, this is what I've learned. This is what I've gained from this company. You know, my employees, when I give them sick leave, I'm like, no, guys, just take the week off. They're like, nope, we want to come to work. And that's the environment that I've always wanted to have at work. I don't want to create a toxic working environment, because when I work well with these people work well with me. For the past 6 years, I've never cried of employees that are stealing. I've never cried of employees that are, you know, doing something that is just off. And it's because I believe it's because of just the leadership style that I've, you know, incorporated in the organization as well.
So you are sort of a hands-on leader who, I understand you are also a truck driver, like you drive trucks and all that.
Deliver bottles.
What inspires you to do such great things? What is it that drives you?
For me, really, I'm not, you know, one, it's crazy. I've always been passionate about trucks. I love trucks. So for me, I was like, if I want someone to do something, I have to be a leader that leads by example. Right now, I wouldn't consider myself a hands-on leader. I know this is going to sound crazy, but I'm a laissez-faire leader. I give my employees targets. I'm like, guys, this week by Friday, we should have done 30,000 bottles. However you want to do it, that's up to you. I'm not going to come to work and be like, oh, let's do bottles. No, I just give them targets. And then if you want to work overnight, if you want to do this, I'll see how I can support you. I'm not that, but obviously, leadership is not linear. There are days when you have to be autocratic. There are days where you have to be democratic. And for me, but most of my leadership is just laissez-faire. I give them targets, and then you guys just do this. So what really drives me is I serve with a purpose. In everything that I do, I make sure that, oh, by the way, I'm a Christian. So for me, everything that I do, I don't want a situation where someone sees me at church and they're like, oh, I don't believe she goes to church because this is how she treats us at work. So for me, in everything that I do, it has to be in alignment with my values. I remember when I hired my employees as well, I was telling them, guys, this is what I believe in. I believe in, and I put my employees first in everything. Even my customers know. If I find out that a customer was going wild on my employee, I'll just tell them, please, you cannot do something like that. Like, if you don't understand something, I put this person in this position, so what he's telling you is what I told him. So for me, purpose, that's what drives me. I cannot be a bad leader, because I've also been in a working environment that was really, really toxic. And I said, the day I start my business, I'm going to make sure that the environment is very healthy. I want employees that are looking forward to come to work. Like, you just wonder, when are we going to work? Mm-hmm. Not when you think about GOP bottles, you're just like, oh, I don't want to go there. Because if morale is low, then productivity is low, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, tell me about, say you know, I've been interacting with, we've been interacting with different people, with my colleagues here. We've met people from the business community. Mm-hmm. We have met different groups of people in Francistown. And some are talking about markets, like it's a big challenge to penetrate the markets. You know, what is your success formula in terms of, like, how are you able to put your product out there? Is it because you have some great marketing skills, or is it because you have a product that everyone needs? You know, maybe can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I think for me, what I always tell people in business is that post your product or your service. It's not about the likes. I always say this. Even if it means you post every single day, trust me, someone somewhere is seeing it. Right now, people know of my business because it's all up in their faces. Like, every single day I'll post the bottles. So whenever you think about GOP bottles, like, literally, whether it's a funeral, whether it's a wedding, and people are like, and by the way, bottles are not, it's not a product that you think of every day. You're like, as a normal consumer, you're like, oh, bottles. No, it only comes when you need it. Like when there's a funeral and someone is like, oh, where are we gonna put the ginger? Oh, bottles. Trust me, someone somewhere is gonna be like, oh, I remember Mandy posted about bottles, so that's my strategy. I post bottles every single day. I've encountered people where they're like, oh, but people don't like my I haven't even done, like, the sponsorship where you sponsor the post so that it takes a wider audience. I don't do that. I post my bottles every day. I always tell people, post your service. If you don't do it, no one is going to do it for you. And this thing of, oh, but people are not doing this, listen, if you don't move your business, no one is going to do it for you. Put it in their faces. Like, you have nothing to lose. So for me, that's a strategy that I do. Strategy number 2 is I do a lot of door to door. I go to, because my target is
door to door marketing.
Yes, my target is, and I don't mean door to door like houses, because for me, bottles, my target is the wholesalers, right?
Yes.
Your Trances, your Cephalanas, your all these organizations. These are organizations that, for sure, they sell. What are these product called? What are they called? These plates.
Containers.
Yeah, the containers where you put the food, right?
The
former packs, yes. Yeah. So I've encountered situations where, like, my clients would come and get the bottles. After they get the bottles, it's like, oh, don't you know anyone who sells former packs? So it's like they're complementary products. So I was like, since they're complementary products, let me go to the companies that actually sell this and be like, what do you guys think about having bottles in your, so that customers don't have to come to you, then come to me. I just bring the bottles to you, you just distribute. So that's what I do. I go to them, I bring samples, and I'm like, oh, these are my bottles. Because unfortunately, the business that I'm in, you cannot just tell a person I do bottles. The first thing they'll do is, what do they look like? So I have to bring the samples and be like, oh, I do cooking oil bottles, I do sanitizer bottles, I do this. This is how they look like. This is how we package them. And then that works for me. And beyond that is also because of the quality of our bottles, they speak for themselves. Everyone, whether we go, for people are always like, oh, the bottle looks nice. Where did you get this? Where did you, so in everything that I do, whether I go for seminars, events.
So you make them in different shapes and sizes?
Yeah, we have the 330 ml, we have the 500 ml, we have the 750 ml, which is the dishwashing liquid bottles. We have the 1.5 liters. You can use it for anything really. And then we have the 2 liter, which is the cooking oil bottles. So we don't customize bottles. Like, you can't come and say, oh, I have this bottle in mind, do it for me. We work with molds. So if and the demand as well. So if the demand right now is, oh, sanitizer bottles 100 ml, we're going to get the mold from China, and then we start doing that. Yeah.
I see. So usually in a week, how many bottles are you able to make and sell?
Approximately, right now the capacity of our machine is 800 bottles per hour. This is per hour. So if we're working 8 hours a day, for example, then we're probably going to do 64,000 bottles. But we don't do that, obviously. But right now in a week, what we do is, because we work with mass production, by the way, we don't manufacture bottles per order. We just stack them up and we just keep them in the warehouse. When StarPack says, oh, I need bottles, 30,000, we just deliver them to StarPack. When a client says, also, we don't want a situation where a client walks in and they don't find the bottles. So we make sure that we do mass.
Stockpile them.
We stockpile, like they go up to the ceiling. And trust me, they don't stay. One of my biggest challenges, I know I've said this to my supervisor in Atlanta, is my demand is higher than my supply. It's scary, but I wish I had more resources so that I can be able to meet the demand. I've never had a situation where I'm like, oh, people are not buying the bottles. It has never happened. It's always the demand is, because I remember in 2018 when the government of Botswana put a bill where the importation of water was completely stopped. So we had a lot of companies booming, water purification companies booming, but then we didn't have the complementary products for that. The water was stopped being imported into Botswana, but the complementary products were still being bought in South Africa. The bottles, the stickers, the bottle caps. So that's why I tapped into that gap. I'm like, so there's a gap here. And you can imagine with all these companies that have been booming, GOP bottles that started 6 years ago, it needs to expand and be able to cater for all of that. Yeah.
This is so great. You know, listening to you, and you know, you make it sound so simple, and I can imagine the amount of work.
And tears.
So, is there before we close? Is there anything that I know you've said quite a lot?
Yeah.
Is there anything that you think maybe you want to leave our viewers with?
Yeah. My advice to people that want to go into entrepreneurship or entrepreneurs that are already in there is start anywhere. Start where you are. If you're gonna wait for the perfect time, it may never come. For example, when I started 6 years ago, if you told me 6 years ago that I was gonna be a MWF alumni, I was gonna be like, no. You know, some of these things, they build into what you started. They build into the relationships and the networks that you build. If you don't start anywhere, don't be afraid to fail forward. That's what I always tell people. If you stay in a place and you're not doing anything, you can't grow. So start somewhere, trip, fall, get back up, start again, trip, fall, because you cannot repeat the same mistake over and over again. In business, you grow, you learn. When I started, there was a tender that I lost. A tender was 60,000. This is 2 years when I started, because I didn't know one or two things that right now I've learned, and I can be able to work and be in partnership with these people. So my advice is start anywhere, start with what you have, start with the people around you, and it will just build. You will find your purpose in what you're doing. When you ask me if I knew my purpose back then, I would say no, I didn't. I was just filling a gap, which is what I was doing. But right now, I know my purpose is just seeing Botswana's green economy just circulating around, and jobs, young people, everything just circulating around our country. And that's where my purpose is right now. And it came because I started somewhere. So that's my advice. Don't be afraid to fail forward. It's okay to fail. No entrepreneurship that you're seeing that is doing waves, that is making waves, has never not failed. We've all failed somewhere. Yeah.
Wow, so inspiring.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Taboka kwazo.
Taboka.
Thank you.
Taboka.